Today we're going to be learning how to make one of these really cute jellyfish plushies. I will have a link to a pattern below if you want a physical copy. It is only $1. This is my own original pattern, and I will also be linking how to make, how to embroider the top. I do use like a 4-leaf clover shape instead of a 3-leaf clover shape in that tutorial, but it's basically the exact same steps. I'll be linking that below, so after you make your jellyfish, if you want to embroider something onto the top, it'll be there. And I do, personally, I recommend it after I've stuffed it and everything, because I just think it's easier to embroider. So I will link that down below so you can watch that if you need. What you will need for this is a 4.5mm hook, at least one shade of yarn, but preferably 2 tones of yarn. This is actually teal and like an aquamarine color. They're showing up a little darker on camera. You will also need a yarn needle and a pair of scissors and stuffing. So to start your pattern, you're going to be doing 6 single crochets into a magic ring. A magic ring is basically take over in your fingers, wrap it around so it makes an X. Slide your hook under the first loop and pull the second loop down like that and chain 1. You now have a magic ring. Now you're going to be single crocheting 6 into said magic ring. Okay. So now that I have 6, I'm going to be tightening my ring here. And this pattern is not actually worked in continuous rounds. This pattern will be worked in single rounds. I'm not really sure what they call it, but basically you're going to slip stitch into the first single crochet and chain 1. And you're going to do that at the end of every single round. This just helps keep each round straighter, and if you're going to do stuff like stripes, this just makes sure that you have straight stripes, stuff like that. For the purpose of this pattern, you will actually be sewing a bottom onto the top. So I do it in, I do the slip stitch and chain because it just makes it easier to sew the bottom onto the top. Okay. So for your next round, you're going to be single crocheting 2 into each stitch. So you should have a total of 12 stitches at the end of this row, or round, at the end of this round. Once again, after you have done 2 single crochets into each previous single crochet, you are going to be slip stitching into the first single crochet from the round and chaining 1. Now in the first stitch, you're going to be doing 2 single crochet. And in the second stitch, you're going to be doing 1 single crochet. And you're going to repeat that all around. So basically you're going to do a pattern of 2 stitches in the first stitch, and then 1 stitch in the next stitch, all the way around for a total of 18 stitches. And we will come back after you have got that. Once more, after you have done this, we are going to slip stitch into our first stitch and chain 1. Once more, you will have 18 stitches at the end of this row. So for this next row, or round, we're going to be doing 2 single crochet in the first stitch and 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches. And you're going to be doing that once more all around for a total of 24 stitches. And I shall see you back once we have that done. Slip stitching into the first stitch and chaining 1, At this point, you should have 24 stitches. So for this next row, we're going to do 2 in the first one and 1 in the next 3 stitches for a total of 30 stitches. And you're going to do that all around. So 2 in the first one and 1 in the next 3. So 1, 2, 3. And you're going to do all that all the way around for 30 stitches. So for your next row, we're going to be doing 2 in the first and 1 in the next 4 stitches all the way around for a total of 36 stitches this time. So once again, that is 2 stitches in the first stitch and 1 stitch in the next 4 stitches all the way around for 36 stitches. And we'll see you after we've done that. So this row will be the last increase row. And once more, we're going to be doing 2 in the first stitch and then 1 this time in the next 5. All the way around for a total of 42 stitches, and that does not count your slip stitch. Does not count the slip stitch, and when you are doing these, you are going to be using the same stitch that you slip stitched into as your first stitch. You are going to be using the first stitch you slip stitched into as your first stitch. So now we're going to be doing it once more, 2 in the first and 1 in the next 5. And we're going to do that all the way around for 42 stitches, and that will be the end of our increase rounds. The next 5 rounds are all going to be the exact same. So all we're going to do for the next 5 rounds is just single crochet on every stitch all around for 42 stitches. So you're just going to be doing 5 rounds of single crochet all around to form a dome shape. And we will be coming back after you have done those 5 rounds. So once you've done that, you're just going to cut and fasten off. You can leave a tail out. You can either work around it in the next round or you can sew it up. Before we do the ruffles though, we're going to go ahead and make the bottom part. So to make the bottom part, you're just going to repeat the first 7 rows of your top, or basically go back and do the exact same thing up until you are supposed to do 5 rows of single crochet. Just don't do the 5 rows of single crochet. So you're going to do the 6 single crochet in the magic ring, 2 in each single crochet, and then 1 in the first and 1 around, etc., up until you get to the point right before where you do your 5 rows of, or your 5 rounds of single crochet, and then we will come back here when you've done that. So your bottom will look like this. Once again, it is literally just the same thing that you do for the top, but don't do those 5 rows of single crochets at the end, and they will line up. They don't look like they line up perfectly, but they do line up perfectly. You have the same amount of stitches on them. And now you're going to want to cut like a decently long tail for your bottom piece because you are going to be sewing it to the top piece soon. And fasten off. Now going back to your top piece, once again, you can either work it in with your frills or you can work in your yarn now. And I personally recommend working it in now. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your yarn, put it on a yarn needle, and you're just going to kind of gently work it in. and just hide your yarn in your stitches. This just helps fasten your yarn just a little bit more. If you do it in the ruffles, I mean, it'll still hold it, but it might pop out. Whereas if you do it this way, it probably won't pop out at all. And I do recommend doing more than just one row. I do recommend going down the next row and doing it as well. Because if it's a straight line, it's easier to come out than if it's a curved line or if it has turns in it. So I generally do at least 2, sometimes 3 rows like this. Oops. Just to make sure that it is firmly in there. And then once you've got that in there, you can go ahead and cut off that remainder tail. And now it's all hidden. From here, we're going to be working on the ruffles. So using your secondary color, in this case I'm using like an aquamarine color, to attach your secondary color to make the ruffles, you're going to do a slip knot and put it on your hook. And then you're going to want to go, I mean, you can go anywhere, but personally I always try to go in the same row that I finished off on. So you're going to want to do it like this, with the dome part facing downwards and there being an inner pocket here. And then from there, using the front loop only, you are going to attach the secondary color via chaining 2. And then you're going to do 5 double crochets in the same stitch that you just did your chain 2 in. So that's yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And you're going to do that for a total of 5 times, with your first chain counting as 1 double crochet, so you'll have a total of 6 stitches here. So 5 double crochets plus your chain 2. Then you're going to, again, working only front loops only, skip 1 stitch and slip stitch into the next. From here, we are once again going to be skipping a stitch, and in front loop only, we're going to be double crocheting 6 into the stitch. So do 6 double crochets into the front loop only. Once more, skipping another stitch and doing a slip stitch. Skip your next stitch and continue. And you're going to be doing that all the way around. You're going to be doing 6 double crochet in 1 stitch, skip a stitch, slip stitch, skip a stitch, 6 more double crochet, all the way around until you have 11 bumps. And I will show you when we get there. So once you get to this point, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to slip stitch into the first stitch that you want to slip stitch into the first stitch that you did your initial chain in. And now you're going to cut, leaving a long enough tail to weave in and fasten off. And now you're going to weave in your 2 tails from where you started and where you finished. Your jellyfish body should be looking something like this, where there's a row out here, with this being the top. So now I'm going to take my yarn needle. I'm going to use one of these bigger ones here if I can grab it. I'm going to use one of these bigger ones since I'm going to be doing them both at the same time. So once you have your yarn needle ready, you're just going to weave in your ends. There's a couple different ways to do this. I'm just going to go through one of my ruffles, like one of my little bumps, a little at a time. And then once again, I am going to go back around a little bit more, just for better security. And then if I can, I'm going to do one more time. Get a few more stitches in there. There we go. Now trim. And it's all woven in. So your next part is going to be your tentacles. So you're going to have a total of 7 tentacles with 1 giant tentacle and then 6 smaller tentacles. Your giant tentacle in the middle is going to take both your secondary color and your main color. So you're just going to take them both. Let me just push everything out of the way here. You're going to take them both. And what you're going to do is you're going to chain 18 and you're going to leave like a decently long tail. So you're just going to chain 18. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, oops, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So once you've chained 18 in your second chain from the hook, you're going to single crochet 3. So 1, 2, 3. And you're going to single crochet 3 in every single chain all the way down. And we will come back after you've done that. So after finishing, once again, you're going to want to cut off a decent tail and fasten off like that. Your tentacle will look something like this. If you want to make it longer, you can also stretch it out. So next we're going to be making 3 more medium-sized tentacles, and you're going to be using your main body color. Once more, leaving a decently long tail. And you're going to chain 15 this time. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So after you have your 15 chains, once more, we're just going to be single crocheting into every single stitch all the way down, and it's going to give that spiral effect the exact same way that your middle one did, but you are going to do 3 of them this time. So that way you will have 3 medium-sized tentacles in your main body color. So once you have those 3 done, go on ahead and come back here for the remaining 3 tentacles. So this is how the medium tentacle looks. Once more, if you would like, you can stretch it out like that to make it just a bit longer. And you are going to need 3 of them. So after you have your 3 tentacles for that one, it is time to make the remaining 3 tentacles. Using your secondary color, you are going to chain 12. Once more, remember to leave a long tail both when starting and when fastening off. Excuse me. So then you're just going to chain 12, and let's see here, 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then once more, you're just going to be doing 3 single crochets in each chain all the way down. And you're going to be doing that 3 times for 3 more tentacles. These are going to be your small tentacles, and we will come back once you have your 3 tentacles finished. So your 3 smaller tentacles are going to look something like this. Once more, go ahead and stretch them out if you would like them to be a little bit stretched out. And now you have a total of 7 tentacles. So your next step is to take your bottom, and this part right here is actually going to be the part that goes on the outside of your jellyfish, and this part's going to be the part that goes on your inside. So starting with your largest tentacle, you're going to take one of your strings and go ahead and put that in your yarn needle. Just give me one moment. And then you are going to take it and push it through. So the bottom, the part that goes on the outside, you're going to push it through that to the inside and pull it all the way through. And you're going to do the same thing with the other side, but you're going to try to make it even and opposite. So this one is right here, so I'm going to put the other one right here, like that. And now you're just going to tie a normal knot. You can put 2 to 3 knots there if you want, but just tie a normal little knot there just to make sure they're in. And it's fastened onto the bottom fairly well. Next, you're going to be taking your 3 medium ones, and you're basically going to be doing the exact same thing, except your positions are going to be different. You're going to want to space them evenly out from your tentacle. So I usually like to do 3. So 1, 2, 3, put it here. And then you're going to skip the stitch. So right there's the first one. You're going to put the second one into the one right beside it, like that. And go ahead and tie that off just like you did the other ones. Then your second medium tentacle, you want your 3 tentacles to be spaced out evenly around it. So your second one, you're going to make sure you're staying in the same like loop. And what I like to do is, what's the exact half opposite would be here. Somewhere in between that would be about right here. So that way it would be as evenly spaced as I can get it, would be in this area right here. So taking the same one that they're in would be right here. Let's see, I think I'll do it here. And then you're going to do the same process pretty much on the last one of picking the spot you want it, put each string through and tying them off. You don't need to worry about cutting any of these short. You'll actually put these in the jellyfish body to help with stuffing. So for the last one, you have your 2 right here. In the middle would be about right this area. So figure out which one is the correct thing, which would be this one, and you're gonna put your tentacle right around there. When it comes to your smaller tentacles, you are just going to put them in between your medium tentacles. So same line, and you're just going to go as close to the center between the two as you can, and you're just going to put them on. You're just going to put each tentacle in between the two, and once more do the same tie off. We will return after you have finished with them. So after you have your tentacles sewn on, they look something like this on the bottom, and they'll look something like this on the top. That's fine. Go ahead and just ball up your strings the best you can. And then you're going to be attaching your bottom to your top. So you're going to put the two within one another. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to line up where you ended your top the best you can. And you're going to put them together like this, tuck in all those strings, and now you're going to be going through both loops. Go through both loops of your bottom and go through just the back loop of your top. And you're just going to whip stitch all around. So just like that, insert in the next stitch, insert in the next stitch on the top, and go all the way around. And they will line up pretty much perfectly. You should have the exact amount of stitches. So both loops on the bottom, back loop only on the top, and go all the way around like that up until you have about that much space, maybe a little bit more left. When you have done that, come back and I'll show you the next step. So when you have about that much of a hole left, you're actually going to go ahead and begin your stuffing. Okay, that was my neighbors being loud. So you're just going to go ahead and begin your stuffing. This part, it doesn't really matter how much stuffing you put in. It's more up to a personal preference. Like if you like it to be really firm, then put a lot in there. If you don't want it to be too firm and you want it to be softer, don't put as much in there. Stuff like that. I think that's pretty good for me. It's kind of firm. Actually, I'm going to take a little bit out. That's too firm. That way it's kind of firm, but not too firm. That's what I like best. And then you're just gonna finish up your sewing just the same way you were doing it before. Needle goes through both loops on your bottom and only on the back loop on your top. Just like you were before, up until you get to the point where you are ready to finish. And as you can see, it has lined up pretty well with my stitches. It's hard to see from a distance, I gotta pick it up. But as you can tell, it's lined up perfectly by doing what we did. So now I'm just going to fasten off here, tying a knot just like you would anything else. And then to hide that knot, I just weave my piece in and bring it up somewhere through the stuffed animal or through my plushie and cut. And that's how you do the basic jellyfish. If you want your bottom to be less like poofed out, what you could do is you could take a piece of yarn and run it from one section on the top down to the bottom and run it back up and then tighten it on the top, tie a tight knot on the top, and that'll help pull in your bottom if you wanted to do that. Once more, if you want to do any type of embroidery like this or similar, I will leave a link in the description down below to a tutorial that I've already done on how to do the top, but here is a simple jellyfish pattern for you. Please like, comment, and subscribe, And also comment like anything in the future you would want to see made or like a pattern for. I don't know if I'm going to do a YouTube tutorial for it or not, but currently I'm trying to write a pattern for the puppet from FNAF. So we're going to go for that first. I'm also doing a lot of spiders. The pattern's not mine, so there will be no YouTube tutorial for spiders, but I did do a review of the pattern, which I adore, and those are going to be available on my Etsy. The giant spider from a few weeks ago is still available on my Etsy as of now. So please like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope everyone has a nice day.